Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to this SCIA webinar. And my name is Vladimir Příbramský and I will guide you to high-level overview how to create high-quality project documentation with engineering report in Product SCIA Engineer. So during this webinar, your sound is muted, but you can approach me by the field questions, where during the presentation or rather afterwards, I will be able to answer your questions or remarks. Please also be noted that this webinar will be recorded and posted for any future viewing on YouTube. So let's dive into it and let's have a look what engineering report has to offer. Today, we are going to focus on reporting because we are still, let's say, in the age of paper, where reports of structural engineers still play a role as outcome of the engineering work. But the trend is to minimize the time with reports and maximize the time spent in design and doing the fun stuff. Engineering report in SCIA actually aims to cover the most of the reporting process in order for you to really minimize the need to exporting, merging different aspects of different softwares. And I will have a look at that in just a couple of minutes. In SCIA Engineer, you have for this possibilities of automated tables, images from projects, automated result pictures that can be created a dozen with a single picture reference. We have extensive formatting tools, ability to show headers, footers, table of contents. So just like in Word, you can basically create the whole structural documentation in the engineering report. And I'm going to show you how to do that. To support it, we also know that some aspects of different drawings or different files or checks outside SCIA Engineer are also necessary to be part of the structural document. So we are also going to cover external links to text files, Excel tables, PDFs, or even DWG drawings. And when the work is done on one project, you can actually easily take the template from the project and reuse it for the next one. So the automated reporting process in engineering report. Let's have a look at what actually is most common content of a structural document. So we have some pages with the front page with some data, table of content, some images, chapters, text. We are going to cover these pages separately in coming minutes. Some images from the model, some descriptions of load cases, rendered load on surfaces, for example, having the ability to display checks either in some overall table or running detailed checks and showing these outputs, including formulas which are easy to be interpreted, but also having other parts of the structure document, like colorful schemes of, for example, here 2D checks, having some Excel linked with the report, or having entirely external application creating the check, for example, here for the anchoring. So let's have a look at the general layout first. So the reports can have defined layout, and usually they do. This is something that is pushed most likely by the investor, or you have your own standard to do that. So there is usually the cover page with some general information about the document. A custom header and footer is indeed a must, and also being able to have some overall styles for text, tables, or any other field. And of course, automated table of content, which sums the chapters and images automatically. Let's have a look how it works in SCIA Engineer, how we can create the report. So yeah, I will just write report into the SCIA Spotlight. It opens up a new report, and let me zoom out a little bit. And right under external issue, external items, I can start with PDF creation. And here I'm going to link very briefly just a PDF front page that I've created in a different application. And this is a reference that is still connected with the report. So if I change it, it updates. And we are going to talk about this also in a minute. If we have this front page, let's continue further with the items I mentioned. So we can add header and footer, item for style, and for example, the table of content. Let's have a look at the style. Let me edit this item. So for every type of, for example, header level or chapters, tables, anything, I can define style. I have here the preview of how the style looks like. I will just change here these two for the speed, but you can indeed change a lot about the visual aspect. Very much similar approach is for composing the header and footer. You can see here the footer and header, they are composed of different tables, and you can compose it based on automated parts like name of the project, author. This is all taken from SCIA Engineer. Or if you don't need these from the default one, you can just remove them. Same applies for the footer. There can be tables with, for example, name of the document, but most common is just the page counter. Continuing, let me start real quick, and I can do that by means of report templates that you can see here in the bottom left corner. I can just choose a system template, for example, for analysis and model description. This basically is a predefined template. But once you create your own report, you are able to store it as a template and use it since that time. So that's very, it needs, we understand it needs some time to get the report up to your liking. But once you do that, you are able to reuse it for your very next project, which we feel is very important. Let's have a look at another aspect, and structural documents very usually contain some different aspects that are not exactly linked with the model in SCIA Engineer itself. There are some chapters, some general text available, some images, or even references for DWG drawings. These can be simply added to the SCIA Engineer and in the exactly same manner as I've shown you regarding the PDF front page. Let's have a look how that works. So if I create an external picture, I can just link it with a picture on my hard drive, and this picture is automatically loaded. It can support various types of picture types, including the 3D image or DWG. Those are all considered, let's say, images. And you can see that if I go and edit the file, the engineering report actually understands that the file has been changed. It will show me this red exclamation mark, so I know that the reference is outdated, and after regeneration, it is loaded properly in the most current state. You can just use copy and paste, Control C and Control V like anywhere else. So you can just copy images from anywhere or from any other documents. If you are, for example, using any way how you can do, for example, print screens, you are just able to hit Control V and it's right in there. As I mentioned, one of the types of images that is actually quite interesting is the 3D image. You can, from any project, you can export image in a form EP3, which is a 3D representation of the image. So this I loaded from a different project. You can see it's a 3D rendering of results, but being a 3D image, I'm able just to go to the editing mode, change the view or change aspects of the view, and have this image also in my report, even though it's stored externally on my hard drive. I mentioned that a specific type of image is the drawing. And I have here an example of that. So allow me to just, same as before, I specify just the path to the picture, and by having it, I have here my DWG drawing. So you don't need to create always print screens of parts of the drawings to make them visible in the structure document. This is a live link between the DWG and the report, meaning that whenever the DWG changes, you can just update it by a single click in the report, and that's all you need to do to keep it up to date. You can, of course, again, copy this item in the navigator, and for example, from the same drawing, if I just zoom out and zoom in a little bit, I can get a different view. You can see that all the lines here are black, but certainly they are assigned to different layers, and that can be also changed. So you are able to quickly assign different colors to different layers, but here, even though it's by default loaded with the black lines, here is the color mapper from the colors by the layers into a specific color, and you can indeed see that by default everything is black. And but if you change the settings, of course, it will be updated in the report. So yeah, let's just change this also. Let's change also the line thickness so we can really see it. And you can see that if I knew what color the lines had, I can just change it. So you have the flexibility to do whatever you want with the references, either pictures or DWG or even 3D pictures. Other parts of images, and let's stick with this topic, are actually internal items of SCIA Engineer. So images with, for example, automated size based on the size of the structure, images of details, all are dynamically updated with the change of the structure. Let's have a look how that works. So I'm just able to send different things from the context menu directly to report. In most cases, the live image in a report would be perfectly sufficient. Let me now just change how the structure looks like and show just the line loads and loading in special load case. I can again send this live image into the report, and I would like to show you a way how to do automated sets of images in a report. So after just a few seconds, both of these images that I've sent here are there, and they seem rigid, they seem static. So imagine that the first image, each type of the structure is, for example, stored in a different layer. Or of course, I would like in my report, for example, to have image per each load case that I have in my project. So I can add list of layers and list of load cases into my report, and I can just drag and drop the image underneath or inside of the load case and layers. And if I now update, you will see that a special image here is created per every load case. On the first image there was nothing because it's the self weight, but any other image is a specific load case that I created. Same for the layers, but here you can see one important aspect: automatically scaling images to fit size. It's a very powerful tool. Shall you want to actually use the template with images for another project, it's always best to have images that are automatically scaled, because of course different projects can have different sizes, so the automatic scaling always helps. And you can see now the power of the having multiple images created from one reference. I just change, for example, the view parameter or the camera of the image, and all the images update. Besides the description of the model, you are able to have a look at results and checks in various forms. So of course, all the results and checks are supported in both graphical way as images, but also in a way as result tables, even including the formulas. You can also plug in external Excel files. This works exactly the same like with external picture or external PDF that we have seen before. So let's have a look now at some result images, how to work with them in Engineering Report. So for this, from these structures, to save some time, I will just take a partial submodel. So let's have a look at some results on these beams. So for example, 3D displacement, I can send it as live image to report. I can, for example, also send their internal forces. So for example, bending moments. So let's send them to the report. And afterwards, I will here for the demonstration of showing how result creation, images creation can be automated. I will also send into report just a plain image, no results in there, just the reference of the camera and shape of the current view. And also I can run steel check, for example, and I can send it in either the graphic form as image, but I can also, based on different output definition, either brief or detailed, send also a table. If I now look in the report, I can see that the table and images I send here are there. I can again use just Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V to copy the image. And if I want to change, for example, to show normal forces instead of bending moments, I can adjust that. Of course, now I have two images that are basically nearly the same, and there is a smarter way how to achieve this. So there is the result picture generator. So I have here the results table. So let me just drag it under the generator, and I have here the plain image, and plain image is perfectly fine. And if there is a table indented or placed under the generator, it actually reads which values are available. And you can just choose which values of results you want to see, and it just creates from a single reference file picture for every bending moment, normal force, or shear force that I've specified. Again, having a single reference brings the benefit. If I change just a single image, all the images I have created from this generator actually update. External checks. I've talked about that also in the beginning, and the way how you can plug in the external checks. For example, in this example, it's Hilti check for anchorage. You can actually do that as external item, external PDF, exactly the same as for the cover page that we have created in the very beginning of this webinar. So you are able to use PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, and all of them work and are available in the report in very similar manner. So, and again, whether the source PDF or Excel is changed, it is an understood by the report, and you can update the fields, or it can even update automatically. So as this webinar was intended to give you very high level overview of what's possible, I will not go into much more details. For that, I invite you for a coming webinar that will not be planned for 20 minutes as this one, but for a whole hour. And we are going to be able to cover much more in there, and to also have a look at workflows directly in SCIA Engineer into more depth. So I invite you to attend the webinar when you see the invitation. But what's the conclusion of this high-level overview? So you can complete the whole engineering report within SCIA Engineer. You don't need to create or export a Word document to continue your work there. You can really finish everything within the SCIA Engineer application, and you can quickly adapt the model and also get updated report when changes are done. And of course, as I mentioned, you can save big amount of time while reusing the whole thing, the whole report for your next project. You just, as you would save a document, you save it as a template, and since that time, you can use it for any project. So the key takeaways would be that the engineering report is a versatile tool to create the whole report efficiently, to automate creation of tables and images from the project, to also support vast majority of necessary external items such as text files, Excel spreadsheets, PDFs, images, and CAD drawings. And you can also use templates to avoid repetitive work in the future. Thank you for your attention. I hope that this webinar was helpful for you and that you, for example, learned a tip or two what you didn't know. For more details, you can either contact us or to dive into our web help. And if you wait for a couple of weeks, I will be back with a more extensive webinar prepared for you. Thank you very much for your participation, and talk to you later.